Chosen attitudes.
Chosen attitudes. Well, we can loop back to what ascension attitudes are. So we've
Hmm.
touched on those before. And ascension attitudes, love, praise, gratitude, trust, and hope were a gift written in by the Infinite Mother into our DNA to use in order to bring an unfolding of your reality, a reality that is benevolent and filled with magic and miracles. So that is a key. When we live in ascension attitudes, we are essentially guaranteeing a benevolent unfolding in the moment. So when we talk about chosen attitudes, if you are experiencing something that is causing distress and or triggering fear, and you remember that you have the ability to shift it based on choosing an attitude. You have the key within you to access the ascension attitudes or other attitudes, attitudes of leaning in, embracing something with joy, choosing an attitude of peace, choosing an attitude of adventure, choosing an attitude of humor that can then lift you from an experience of drudgery, dread, fear, anxiety to one of adventure and glad expectation.
You know, when you hear about someone with the perspective of, oh my God, that person is like so chaotic. Chaos draws in chaos. Happiness draws in happiness. Upset draws in and brings in upset. It's like everything that you choose to feel is going to literally manifest more of that feeling. So, Steph, you and I talk about taking joy in the mundane a lot because coincidentally, we've had so many things in front of us this year that are like drudgery. Pure drudgery. But we really had to embrace and move forward and like almost be savage and aggressive with our chosen attitude because otherwise it literally would be drudgery. It's what you make of it.
100%. And we have been ruthless,
I've
ruthlessness
had
and
some hiccups.
mastery. Yeah.
I've had hiccups.
And but the hiccup reminds you of, do you want to tumble down into living in lower levels of consciousness and feeling an existence of hell when you've experienced living in heaven and then you drop into lower levels based
Yeah.
on the attitudes you are unconsciously and innocently expressing, you immediately recognize, I so much prefer living in a state of peace and harmony. You have that ability instantly
Right.
based on how you shift your attitudes, how you shift your emotions, how you shift your perspective.
It's basically when you shift your attitude, you instantly shift the perspective, which instantly shifts your reality.
Correct. That's the beauty of them. And
Yep.
you can shift an attitude and it does it. You can shift a perspective because they thread into one another in wholeness. So there's you can achieve the result through any of them, as you said.
Right.
And you also make a commitment to self to be ruthless with self, ruthless with your mastery, ruthless with your chosen level of excellence, because there is only the self. And
Mhm.
so when continually pushing towards a greater level of mastery, anytime presented with something, the highest choice will be given in that moment, and you will recognize, I could choose this and it's fine, But what is the highest choice? And the highest choice will always be given. Sometimes you will choose to have a mediocre response. And when I say mediocre, it is something that perhaps the masses would all see as okay. But when you're choosing mastery, you actually are given the highest truth, the highest chosen attitude that you can take in that moment to bring forth the highest outcome. And when you commit to that, you will experience the highest outcome. And you also are bringing forth a huge blessing to life.
Everything we do affects in proxy
To the whole.
to the whole. We talk about complainers and victimhood.
Absolutely. It's like a virus. It's
The
completely like a
parasite.
virus. It's a complete parasite. And it's so easy innocently when you're around a complainer, if you notice, the slightest complaint, the slightest sigh or complaint is a form of, it's a dishonor of life. It's a dishonor of the privilege of life. And complaining is a form of victimhood. And
Yes.
essentially you're dishonoring self, you're dishonoring the privilege of what it is to live life on this planet in the most density in the cosmos, which also in fact carries the most power in the cosmos, this glorious planet. And it brings forth this energy that immediately puts you into lower vibrational levels of then polarity, because if one's a victim, and then there has to be a perpetrator, and then you're powerless, and it's icky, and it's sticky, and it makes others want to lean into complaining. And I mean, you and I kid because it's very much like Jack and Jill, once one goes tumbling down the hill, the other one can go right after. Hence why we must be ruthless with with our thoughts and recognizing, are we allowing ourselves to be swept away with the victimhood and or complaining of another, or are we going to ruthlessly choose to see the moment as a privilege and choose an attitude that will bring forth more magic, a gateway to more miracles, a gateway to more peace and joy?
Don't be a Jill.
Don't be a Jill. What is it? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, water which is consciousness,
Hmm.
the still waters of consciousness that bring forth creation.
Who tumbles down first? Jack
Jack and
falls
Jill,
down to catch the crown.
no, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and lost his crown, and Jill went tumbling after.
Yep.
He fell down and lost his crown. As soon as you come out of sovereignty,
Hmm.
as soon as you come out of your power, you lose your crown of sovereign royalty. If you lose your crown, you're tumbling down into lower vibrational levels of existence. And God bless Jill, she went tumbling after. When the being loses its crown, it's very easy for others to fall after, because so many of us are, well, life is bombarded with distorted emotions of fear, anxiety, pain, guilt. As soon as you go into those, it's very easy to tumble into that and get lost in the density of powerlessness, forget your vastness and your royal lineage.
So instead of tumbling down, this is something that I've come across a lot lately. And my response to a complainer is often to like engage with it and like come back at it. You know what I mean? Like I always have a response. I always have a response, which is my truth. And I know it's the truth, the actual truth. But it provokes the complainer to then respond to you and engage even more and complain even more and keep the both of you in the muck. So instead of that, what I've learned, much through Steph's guidance, is to let the person talk, let the person complain, be a victim, so on and so forth. And then just kind of switch the topic. If you let someone speak without judgment or without even any sort of response, because that's probably what they're looking for anyway, is just for you to listen graciously, then you're able to switch the topic and then automatically bring that conversation and life up to a higher frequency. You're back up at a higher level. But for me, I was engaging a lot with the complaint, and that would keep me at that lower level, which is not where I want to be. It's not even my complaint.
Correct. And then you're joining them in
Misery.
misery and distortion because
Mhm.
they're in distortion. So if you join them in an untruth, because distortion does not represent truth of life. Just that's the point of distortion and illusion. Life is in wholeness. It's life
Mhm.
affirming, it is life giving, it is the design of the infinite. And so when you surrender and align yourself wholly with truth in oneness with the one, and that is your intention to step out of that and lose your crown as Jack did, and Jill for that matter, you you end up down the hill without the crown. You end up in the distortion with somebody else expressing actually what would be a false sympathy and compassion. But
Mhm.
when you are expressing that, it's a subtle thing. But if you're expressing a false sympathy and compassion for an untruth, you are in the unreal. So best you stay in alignment with life in truth, hold space for another to process whatever it is that they're processing, and provide a different level of perspective coming from a perspective of truth with chosen attitudes, and then change the subject so you can remind them of the truth. What a privilege it is to live. What a privilege it is to live this life and honor their experience, share it from truth, offer a different perspective, or change the subject to something that would be inspiring. And now you are bringing their consciousness out of the lower levels into a new possibility, and they will have shifted.
Mhm.
Not because we're trying to fix them, not because we're trying to change them, but we're supporting the unfolding as a conductor and a director in the moment in life.
Bravo. But it is the mastery.
It is a mastery and it is chosen. I'm going to read. So there's a rune
And what is a
about
rune?
chosen attitudes.
Describe a rune.
A rune is a symbol of power, and these particular runes are runes and wheels by Almine, the great mystic and seer, who has provided. She is who I have studied her body of work for decades. So again, and I want to reference and honor her and express gratitude for her.
Mhm.
So this rune is a symbol of guidance and power that allows for communication with self. So I will pull from specific decks. And this particular one talks about chosen attitudes. The angel god aligned with it is angel god Ubek Paranit. And it goes like this: chosen attitudes. Choosing to live in a reality shaped by attitudes and choices derived from the highest truth, where the view is the breathtaking vistas of eternity. So beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And we should also, Steph and I have a lot of reference points. And a reference point is exactly that, something that you continuously reference because it's ultra inspiring to you. And of course, what you're inspired by manifests, right? And we love this video. Are they English? Maybe like in the countryside of UK?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so it's a family. And the family, there's a husband and a wife or partners of some
Mm-hmm.
sort, and they have two little boys, and they have two horses. And the horses often like come inside and eat off. It's hilarious. They come inside, eat off the dinner table. Like it's like that beautiful chaos, right? And the little boys are so cute. And there's this video of the family with the horses and the dogs. They have a little wiener dog, like the
Mm-hmm.
dachshund, And they're exploring the countryside. And then the video goes to one of the little boys, and he's by a creek. And he was so excited to be by this creek and in nature and like exploring. And I don't even know what he was doing, picking up rocks or something.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, he didn't know his mom was filming. He raises his arm into the sky with his fist pumped, and he was like, "Today is my day." Exactly like that. And he did it twice.
Say it again. Today is
It's my
my
day.
day.
And that is a chosen attitude. And we often reference that, especially, for instance, if you don't feel like getting out of bed or something happens and it's just automatic drudgery when you wake up, you reverse it, you adjust the perspective, and you take the chosen attitude of today is my day.
Today is my day, and it
That's right.
is. Every minute is your day. And I really want to recognize that we are bombarded. Beings are
Yep.
bombarded with negativity. It's constantly. So it must be chosen, ruthlessly chosen, to choose to find tones, reference points of inspiration and beauty that will bring you to a place where you can feel excited, feel peace. Again, what you experience, you manifest. What you feel is what is going to then unfold around you. So if you're feeling dread, anxiousness, stress, fear, guilt, shame, it will continue to build. And the next thing you know is you're immersed in quicksand, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're seeking coping mechanisms to liberate yourself from that, and it only gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So these things are instantaneously accessible, and when chosen over and over and over again, they get exponentially bigger and stronger, and all that then is unfolding around you in your within your own sphere, which then becomes a great sphere of influence, because it's the power is a sphere of influence. And when you are carrying what is in alignment with life, what is resonant and life affirming, you carry a tremendous amount of influence. You feel limited in that you're one body, and that you believe that you don't have a great influence on what is around you, but you have a tremendous influence, and even exponentially more powerful when it is in alignment and affirming of life. All life surrounds to support you. All life, and I extend this to the cosmos and beyond what you could even imagine.
So may we all today say,
Today
today
is
is
my
my
day.
day.